This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
I want to thank this video's sponsor, BetterHelp.
I want to first thank BetterHelp for sponsoring this video.
As I'm sure many of you know, I've been a huge advocate of therapy since I started going about 6 years ago.
One of the most valuable things I've learned in therapy is the Eisenhower matrix.
I'm a huge believer in therapy now more than ever, just due to the content that I cover.
Visit betterhelp.com/Padilla today to get 10% off your first month.
Visit betterhelp.com/Jack or choose Jack's Films during sign up and enjoy a special discount on your first month.
You can get 10% off your first month by going to betterhelp.com/Nick Crowley.
Alright, so recently I saw a video my YouTube recommended discussing a company called BetterHelp, and you probably have heard of BetterHelp because they usually sponsor your favorite YouTubers. BetterHelp's business model is basically that you go to their website and then you answer some questions and you'll get matched with a licensed therapist who can help you deal with your problems. Now, I don't know how much BetterHelp is paying these creators to promote their service, but it must be a lot of money because these huge YouTubers are constantly promoting it. I was recently watching a Cody Co video, and about a minute into the video, he started doing his BetterHelp ad read. But this video my YouTube recommended actually exposed a lot of dark secrets that BetterHelp is hiding, and I want to sort of echo a lot of these secrets that I'm now aware of because I think it's important to call out dishonesty in the YouTube sponsorship economy. Now, before I go any further, I want to make this 100% clear. I have absolutely no problem with any YouTuber who has promoted this service. I don't have an inside window into any of the brains of the creators promoting this service, so I'm going to be charitable and assume every YouTuber who had promoted this product was doing so in good faith. And I also do think that it is tough to expect YouTubers to audit the companies that are offering sponsorships to them. Like, when I've made my videos discussing Opera GX, which is a popular gaming browser that sponsors many YouTubers, the research I conducted for that video took me about 4 hours. A lot of these huge creators who have promoted BetterHelp absolutely have no time to do that kind of research into the product they're promoting. These people have crazy packed schedules, and the ad reads that they do are brought to them by their team, and the assumption is that if their team is bringing them the sponsorship, it's got to be legit. So I'm not going to condemn anybody who's promoted BetterHelp or anybody who's promoted Opera GX, but rather I'm going to try to make you aware through this video about some of the wrongdoings and controversies that BetterHelp has been involved in, as they are one of the biggest sponsorships on YouTube. So for those of you who don't actually know what BetterHelp is, and maybe you've never heard of it, BetterHelp is an online therapy service that uses a quiz that you complete to match you with a licensed therapist who can help you deal with your problems. Now, a lot of people like to stop right there and insert their own opinion as to why therapy in itself is a scam, and how taking this thing that is already not useful or whatever they think it is, and then making it online as a business tactic is just scum. If that's what you believe and you would never personally go to therapy, you want to tough it out, or you have other ways of coping with life, then absolutely, I think that's great. I would never sit here and preach that therapy is a one-size-fits-all business model, but I would say that it is true. A lot of people, if you hear their testimonies as to how therapy's helped them, you can't deny that in general, the reason it's so prominent is probably because it definitely helps people. BetterHelp's key selling points were as follows. Affordability. BetterHelp postured itself as a more affordable alternative to traditional therapy. Its flexibility. Clients were able to choose the pace and frequency of their sessions to fit their needs and budget. The ease of use. Their platform was designed to be user-friendly, allowing for easy scheduling and communication with therapists. The variety of models. BetterHelp offered sessions in various formats, including messaging, video chat, phone calls, and even group sessions. And accessibility. With a wider pool of therapists available online, BetterHelp allowed users to find a therapist who specializes in their specific needs, even in remote locations. Now, from my perspective, just hearing all of that, it seems like kind of counterintuitive. I mean, you're depersonalizing therapy in itself, which I think is supposed to be a very personal experience, and is supposed to bring you face to face with someone who you can actually connect with on a human-to-human level. Like, imagine you're dealing with depression and isolation, and then you have a YouTuber telling you, like, hey, yeah, stay isolated in your home, just open up that laptop and get onto BetterHelp.com. I would personally say you shouldn't treat your mental health treatment like a Netflix subscription where you just kind of pay $7 a month, and whenever you want to open your laptop to engage with it, you do it. But hey, that's just my opinion, and I'm sure there's people that, due to scheduling conflicts and travel restrictions, have found BetterHelp's model to be useful in itself, or just prefer online therapy. But over the past 6 years, BetterHelp has been involved in some ridiculous scandals, one of them even being the fact that their licensed therapists aren't even fucking licensed. You see, back in 2018, BetterHelp was actually as big of a sponsorship in the YouTube community as it is today. Well, the reason you had stopped hearing about it over the past few years up until recently was because of the controversy where they literally were not checking the certification and the credentials of the people they were hiring to be therapists.
This one says that they don't guarantee the verification of the skills, degrees, qualifications, certification, credentials, competence, or background of any counselor. With BetterHelp, you'll be talking to professionals. Just beware that it's your responsibility to determine whether they are or not. It's your responsibility to determine whether they have any degree or qualification or certification or all these things. What does BetterHelp do besides selling you a product that doesn't exist?
Well, it's safe to say after this PR disaster shitstorm, basically every YouTuber that had promoted them in the first place either dropped them, made a video apologizing, or just shut up and never did another sponsorship with them.
BetterHelp counselor Jax Films has accurately and professionally diagnosed Shane for all of us here.
God fucking damn it. I guess I got a little bit of flack for that because I was one of the disgusting YouTubers that did a BetterHelp promotion. And this was before I knew any of the the controversy.
So that was a fucking lie.
Well, it's been about 6 years, and it seems like BetterHelp has managed to crawl back into the YouTube sponsorship economy, this time actually having licensed therapists being the ones that are giving the therapy, and let's hope so. But it seems like YouTubers that are getting sponsored by BetterHelp now have a comment section filled with people calling them out for taking the sponsorship because of another controversy they had been involved in. Not just that the licensed therapists were not licensed therapists, which, by the way, like, how funny is that? Like, it isn't funny, but it also is pretty funny. Like, imagine your, quote, licensed therapist being some guy that has 2 monitors. On one monitor, he's playing CSGO. He's in game chat and his team is not cooperating, and he tells his teammate to just, off himself. And then he goes AFK the next round because he's on his other monitor telling one of his clients to not off himself. Like, okay, that's so funny. I mean, that is funny. But commenters are pointing out another controversy that BetterHelp is involved in, where apparently they are selling user data to third parties. Now, this is kind of like Opera GX on steroids, because Opera GX is collecting data for the Chinese Communist Party, but therapy is a whole other ballgame. Patient information is something that is actually treated with the utmost privacy. If you go to therapy, I'm pretty sure the rule is, like, legally, that unless you say something that mentions you're gonna hurt someone else or yourself, your therapist cannot legally mention anything you've said in that conversation. While the Federal Trade Commission, or FTC, finalized an order requiring online counseling service BetterHelp to pay $7.8 million and prohibiting it from sharing consumers' health data for advertising. Resolving the allegations, the firm shared consumers' sensitive health data with third parties such as Facebook and Snapchat for advertising after promising to keep such data private. Now, the questionnaire that BetterHelp makes you fill out when you make an account has some pretty personal questions, like, if you have an eating disorder, why you're getting therapy, why you're depressed, are you gay, etc. Stuff like that, right? And depending on your answers to those questions, Snapchat and Facebook may profile you as a demographic they want to advertise something to, because BetterHelp has given them that information. The whole time, BetterHelp promised this information would not be shared with third parties and only to their licensed therapists. Well, the information was shared and the therapists weren't licensed, so what a fucking train wreck. Now, these two controversies are the two biggest the company has been involved in, and honestly, I think the two by itself are enough to indict the company 100%, and I mean, look, those are 100% valid, but I also want to go in and sort of nitpick the entire sort of selling points of BetterHelp that I mentioned earlier on. So one thing that BetterHelp loves to say about their product is that it's a lot more affordable than traditional therapy. Well, traditional therapy sessions, usually a person can expect to pay $100 to $200 per session, and BetterHelp costs $65 to $90 a week. And this is something they brag about. They say, oh yeah, we're less expensive than a normal therapy session. And if we do the math here, they say $65 to $90 a week. That averages out to about $78 a week. And the average price of a traditional therapy session is $150. So would you rather get 2 weeks of BetterHelp for $156 or one traditional therapy session for about $150? Or 1 month of BetterHelp or 2 traditional therapy sessions? If you ask me, I'm taking the 2 traditional ones.
$260 to $360 a month, depending on location, preferences, and therapist availability. Do you know how much I paid for my 2 60-minute sessions for in-office therapy a month?
$130.
$130. Like, who the fuck is this service even for?
And obviously it boils down to personal preference, but I think objectively, I think the quality of the product you're going to get with a traditional therapy session is objectively better. Never mind the quality of BetterHelp in itself, I think online therapy, as I said earlier, is just not the same thing at all. It's like listening to a song on Spotify.
This is a pigeon.
Versus being at an actual concert. Like, ask someone this. Spotify, I think, is $11 a month. Ask anyone if they'd want 5 months of free Spotify or a concert ticket. I think everyone's gonna take the concert ticket. And I don't know, I feel like BetterHelp's entire brand is so dystopian in my opinion. And it seems like I'm totally right because actual customers of BetterHelp have gone onto TikTok and other social media platforms to express these horror stories they've had when using the service. Some people describe the fact that their therapist was 10 minutes late to a 10-minute meeting. Another person talks about how this dude literally got up mid-session and started making fucking popcorn.
I did BetterHelp for about 3 weeks, and the straw that broke my back was when the therapist was in office for the first time. The last time was in her living room, and I was like, I'm just gonna believe no one else is there. As I log onto the video, she's talking to someone and then just stops talking. It's like, hey, how are you? So let's get started. I'm like, someone is in there. So I thought the person had like left and closed the door. Like about halfway through the meeting, she gets up, walks out an open door, meaning there was no privacy, goes into the lounge of like the office, makes popcorn while I'm talking, and then comes back with me, like taking me with her through this whole journey of the office, sits down and is eating popcorn with her mouth full, just chewing. What?
And the irony is, BetterHelp says one of the reasons that online therapy is the future is because it doesn't have the wait times of traditional therapy. Like, you don't have to sit in a waiting room and wait for your name to be called. No, it's actually worse. You have to sit in front of your computer and wait for this guy to just show up. Look, BetterHelp would not be worth $5.47 billion if it just was a shit product like 100% of the time. I'm willing to bet that a lot of people who have used it have had a great experience and it's improved their life, as just therapy in general has. But there is absolutely no denying that BetterHelp has a lot of problems, has a lot of controversies, and is in general, I'd say, pretty shady. Which leads me to what I want to talk about next, which is the YouTubers' involvement in promoting this product, and just the general ethics of when you're doing a sponsorship. Now, I don't think every time you have to promote a product, it needs to be the best product in the world, you know? Although generally, when I do an ad read, it's for a product I actually sort of like. Scentbird is probably the best example of that, and I'm not even being paid to say this. I actually really like their company.
Use code Acheeto55 for 55% off your first order.
But with that being said, I really don't think we should be accepting any and all companies that are going to wave money in our face, especially a company with as shaky of a track record as BetterHelp has. Obviously, I love getting paid, and for a lot of these bigger YouTubers, they're getting insane paychecks. Like, we're talking $50,000 for an ad read. But I generally don't like taking dirty money, which is why I've never done an ad read with Opera GX, even though they offered me cash, and why I would never do an ad read with BetterHelp. And honestly, like, am I going to morally condemn anyone who's done this? No, I'm not. I understand that it's pretty complicated for a lot of these people, and because in general the product is good enough to the point where the money they're going to get from it is worth it. Now, in general, I actually am hesitant to call out YouTube sponsorships because I do care about the sponsorship economy. I want to make sure creators are getting offers and are able to make money. But every now and then, a sponsorship company like Opera GX or like BetterHelp pops onto my radar, and I feel the need to say something because a lot of huge YouTubers with much bigger audiences than mine are constantly shilling for it and promoting it. Like I said, please do not harass any creator who has done a sponsorship read for BetterHelp. Just like this video, leave a comment and subscribe to help the video reach more people and increase knowledge on this topic. Awareness is key. Anyway, though, if you guys ended up enjoying this video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're all new to the channel. Follow my social medias, links are all down below, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.